From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Rob Westgate. Prime Minister Mark Carney will start the day in London meeting with investors to share information about projects that are set to be fast-tracked through his government's Major Projects Office.
Those projects include the expansion of liquefied natural gas production in BC, increased shipping capacity at the Port of Montreal, and building a copper mine in Saskatchewan. The Carney government has championed these projects as a way to transform the economy and promote growth, even as the parliamentary budget officer warns that the current pace of federal spending is not sustainable. Carney is scheduled to hold a media availability following his breakfast meeting and then attend the Women's Rugby World Cup final between Canada and the top-seeded English team. Diana Mussina, The Canadian Press.
Now, the PM's second visit to the British capital is just the latest among 13 other foreign visits since March. Carney's globetrotting schedule is drawing both criticism and praise. Ralph Goodale, Canada's High Commissioner in the UK, defended the visit.
Some of those things you can do by electronic means or pull asides at other meetings, but the most effective conversations are when you sit down in the same room together and talk to each other eyeball to eyeball.
Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, meantime, took to social media to needle the Prime Minister, saying problems like inflation and housing affordability are getting worse, and Carney is prancing around abroad. The Postal Workers Union is calling on Ottawa to reverse its plans to overhaul Canada Post as mail carriers hit the picket lines. The federal government recently announced that it will begin phasing out daily door-to-door delivery nationwide. Now, even as the Crown Corporation says it is bleeding millions of dollars in losses per day, Canadian Union of Postal Workers negotiator Jim Gallant says this is not the right path to take. New contract offers are reportedly being drawn up in light of the proposed changes. Now, onto the international stage, Israeli overnight strikes killed at least 32 people across Gaza. The grim update coming as international pressure grows for a ceasefire, but Israel's leader remains defiant about continuing the war. The attacks coming hours after the defiant Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu told fellow world leaders at the UN General Assembly that his nation must finish the job against Hamas. And finally, an iconic Canadian comic book superhero is celebrating 50 years. The first issue of Captain Canuck hit newsstands way back in May of 1975. Set in the year of 1993, it tells the story of Tom Evans, a Mountie and a scout leader from Flin Flon, Manitoba, who gained super strength from contact with aliens. Creator Richard Cumley, who was living in Winnipeg in the 1970s, says Canada had recently turned 100 and the Cold War brought a collective feeling of patriotism. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, Nathan Lucas hit a 2-run homer and George Springer scored twice as the Toronto Blue Jays defeated the Tampa Bay Rays 4-2. Jays starter Shane Bieber was effective over 5 innings as Toronto trimmed its magic number to clinch the American League East Division title to just 2. However, the New York Yankees defeated the Baltimore Orioles 8-4 to keep pace with the Jays, so any combination of Toronto victories or New York losses that adds up to 2 will give the Jays the East crown. Toronto also holds the tiebreaker if the two teams finish the regular season on Sunday with the same record. Montreal Alouettes QB Davis Alexander threw for 1 touchdown pass and 350 yards in a 38-20 win over the Calgary Stampeders, and for his efforts he set a CFL record with 9 straight wins as a starter to begin his career. And finally over to the NBA, where the Toronto Raptors have signed guard Jared Rhoden, finalizing the team's training camp roster. The Raps preseason will kick off on October 6th. From the Canadian Press, I'm Rob Westgate.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.